Welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming to our second webinar about the benefits of rapid testing and to answer the questions that you've got that have come up so far. This session is being recorded, so you can show it to your employees or to other interested business owners later. Congratulations to all of you that are already taking part in the program. You are helping to keep our communities safer and helping to stop or stem the spread of COVID in our community. So that's really important, and we're glad you're here. I'm Nora Fountain, Executive Director of the Muskoka Lakes Chamber of Commerce, and I'm here with my rapid testing partners in community do-gooding, Kelly Haywood from the Huntsville Lake of Bays Chamber. I'm just going in the order that I see you on my screen. Brenda Rhodes of Bracebridge Chamber, Sandy Lockhart of the Graveners Chamber, and Neil Hutchinson of Hutchinson Environmental in Bracebridge. And I'm going to talk about him a little bit later on. So together with the help of the Orillia Chamber, so a big shout out to Alan LaFontaine of the Orillia Chamber, who can't be here tonight, we put together this group initiative where Orillia stockpiled 100,000 tests. And we've all taken, I think I've given out 10,000 tests. We've given out several thousands of tests now to businesses across Muskoka. So that's really good news. And there's still a lot more to come, and we want to continue helping people. Now, as our special guest, we have, as I mentioned, Neil Hutchinson of Hutchinson Environmental in Bracebridge. And I'd like to talk to him about, well, let me first say that Dr. Hutchinson, it does a great deal of work keeping our environment protected. He's also a singer-songwriter, quite the musician, but he's not singing here tonight. Tonight, he's here as our rapid serial tester. And we are going to come to you, but we wanted to do something first. The first thing people say, oh, this is going to take up too much time, it's going to be too hard. So we're going to dispel that myth right now. And we're going to do a demo of a rapid test. You'll see how rapid and easy it is to do. So I'm going to hand it over to Brenda Rhodes and her beautiful nose. Take it away, Brenda. Show us how it's done.
Hi, everybody. So when you pick up your rapid tests, this is the package that it looks like, and it comes with 25 tests in each of these. And obviously, we give them the amount to you depending on how many employees you have in your business. In the case, there's also a holder that looks like this, where your vial will go into. So you also have your fluid that goes into the vial. So I put 5 drops into the vial, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I make sure that it's up to the fill line. And there's instructions that come with this. So it's a step-by-step instruction. You take your swab, and I'm gonna open it up real quick. And up the nose it goes, and it's not too far. I don't know if hopefully you'll be able to see how far it's going up my nose, and hopefully nothing comes out. So we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in one nostril. And I'm going to go over the other nostril. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I put it into that test tube in here. And I swirl that around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, making sure that I'm getting the sides of the vial. And then part of that stick snaps off. And I put the lid on the vial. And I've marked we call it the pregnancy test, but it's obviously your COVID test. It looks like a little pregnancy thing. And I'm going to do my 5 drops on that vial. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I am going to now just close that vial up, put it back in the holder. And I am going to set my timer. So Nora, take it away, and I'll let you know when the timer's up.
All right. While we're waiting for that to happen, and it will only take a few minutes, so I just wanted to share some things from the Creative Destruction Lab that have been leaders in teaching people about rapid screening. So I hope you can see my screen, but obviously the workplace rapid screening system reduces your likelihood of a shutdown to an outbreak. I mean, that's one of the reasons we're doing it, but the overall community good is the other reason. How does it protect you and your employees? It adds an extra layer of protection for your employees against COVID-19 exposure. They're safer at work and less likely to bring the virus home to you. Now this is my favorite slide, because this is one person going into work and we're not rapid testing. That person already infects another 3 people. And then you've got yourself a workplace outbreak. If you are rapid testing, that one person who comes in immediately leaves. They go out and they go for a PCR, COVID PCR test, and they isolate. That means that none of your workplace people are infected. And this number 3 is really important. It's actually 2.6 that you might infect. But 1 in every 3 Canadians is running around, they're infected with COVID, showing no symptoms whatsoever. And so that 3 thing, again, you're going to infect 3 people potentially in your workplace in the first few days. Within 20 days, those 3 people, those 3 originals, will have infected 5,200 people. So it's really important to note that. I know that Brenda's waiting her results. Another thing when you're doing your test is not to walk away from these test screens. If you walk away for half an hour and come back, then you might not get the result. You need to be there and have someone supervise and see the result come through.
15 to 20 minutes.
15 to 20 minutes.
Check between 15 and 20. That's the magic time.
I've never seen mine go as long as 15 minutes though. And the other thing is your workers you presume them negative. So they go out to the workplace. And then if Nora does screen positive, then you call me and say, hey, Nora, you got to leave the workplace. Oh, we have a finished result.
It's getting there where the time's not up, but we're looking good. I'll show it at the end, but keep going, Nora.
Okay. So, well, you might want to talk about what that exactly means. Why don't you talk about, because the C always throws me, because at first I thought the C meant COVID.
Yes, the C does not mean COVID. And what's the right wording? I say
Control.
Control. So
that's why we have a scientist here with us.
Yes, exactly. I just know that it means I'm good. If you have the double line, that means that you need to go get your test from the health unit.
Okay. So let's go to our rapid serial tester now that we know what control means and test means, and inconclusive, because if you get the T, that's an inconclusive. So that means that you got to redo the test. Neil, can you tell us what made you consider rapid testing in the first place, how it's been going in your workplace, and just generally, what do you think about the program?
I've just been very interested in COVID from the start and how it's spreading, and most importantly, how to keep it from spreading. We're not a commercial or a retail business. We're a small group. There's 2 of us in the office any given day of the week, and then one day a week there'll be 3, and somebody else might drop in occasionally. Some of us have been working at home for 15 months now. But I find with COVID, especially with somebody with, say, sinus trouble like me, I've been misdiagnosing myself with COVID symptoms for 15 months now. Every time you sneeze or cough, you go, oh no, is this it? And I actually just started taking my own temperature at home, just as a precaution. What this offers is, I think, as you said, Nora, the second layer of protection. To me, it's reassurance that in spite of any symptoms you might have, you can come in and test yourself quickly and know if you're negative or not. And just to reaffirm the C value on the test strip that Brenda showed, when the C is got a bar there, that means the test is working as it should. It's a positive control. That means the test is going to give you a result or not. So what we do is we come in and we set up the test, and you go and you start the coffee pot, you turn on your computer, and you just get your morning administrivia out of the way while you wait for the result to come up. And we haven't had any positive results yet. And that's what I feel. I feel it's just a level of reassurance. And maybe from a Chamber of Commerce perspective, it might be something to consider if certain businesses wanted to advertise that their employees have tested negative. That might serve as a very good a drawing card as the summer comes along and more people come back to Muskoka. If you could say my employees are tested every morning, you might find that people prefer that business. It also means for us is that we have to work in teams when we're out in the field sampling water for safety reasons. So instead of putting 2 people in 2 different vehicles and driving for an hour or 2, we can now test them, put them into a vehicle together, and save time and money in the process, with the reassurance that A, they're negative, and B, they're not taking things home to their family. My staff are younger than me. All of them have young children. So it's also very important for them to know that they're safe.
Did you ever have anyone that was a little reluctant to do it or to try it?
No. We're all scientists. We're all nerds. We kind of like the idea.
All right, good. And you mentioned
I think curiosity, enthusiasm are more of what I've heard from the staff.
And what would you say though, Neil, to an employee if they were reluctant, maybe? Because we're hearing that that's an issue.
Well, I think reluctance you can overcome by explanation, you hope. If they out and out refused, I think I'd suggest that they continue to work at home. If they didn't want to take the test, they're better off working from home because we're able to do that.
And I want to pick up on something you said, is never underestimate the power of curiosity, because this has come up for us about employees that are reluctant to do it. And a couple of things come into play. One, if you've got a larger workplace, especially peer pressure. Nobody wants to sit and eat lunch with the one person who's refusing to rapid test. That person sort of people start to keep their distance. But the other one was, and I might have mentioned it earlier, but we did have this one company that did have one person that absolutely was not going to do it. And during just a general group training session, they all got together, everybody did the test except for her. And they continued to test. And eventually the curiosity got the better of her. And she discovered, it doesn't hurt at all. It's really easy. And so that works too. So you can't demand that your employees do it. But again, that rule of threes comes in, is that at least if everybody else is testing, you're still protecting your workplace greatly. And I hate to say it, but if COVID comes into your workplace, you might know why. So I'll just leave that out there as a possibility. The other thing is, you mentioned consumer confidence, and this was something that Sandy Lockhart and Gravenhurst led on. So some of you may see these posters, which the raccoon with the mask, and also they've got their little kit, and it says that our staff rapid test. So when you see this in somebody's store, congratulate them for doing that, for helping keep you safer, okay? Now, early on, you're talking about scientists. I also was dealing with the Creative Destruction Lab, and one of the founders is Melinda Rogers Hickson. And I knew that early on, Rogers were early adopters of rapid testing. They've been doing it for quite a while. So I reached out to her. She's a fellow Muskoka Laker. And she couldn't be here with us tonight, but she wanted to send us this message. So I'm going to ask Kelly to roll this message from Melinda Rogers Hickson, who is the Deputy Chair of Rogers Communications.
Okay, just give me one quick second here. Why?
And while you're doing that, I can thank her ahead, because she really wanted us to have this message. She loves Muskoka, and she really wants us to get open faster and safely as well.
Okay. Ready?
Hello, I'm Melinda Rogers Hickson, Deputy Chair of Rogers Communications. I'm happy to join you today to discuss the benefits of rapid antigen testing for COVID-19 in the workplace and communities. While most people think of COVID-19 as a health problem, it is also an information problem. I'm a huge believer in knowledge and gathering facts around COVID-19 to help us as business leaders and individuals to make informed decisions as we begin to reopen our economy. Work and social life is not safe because we do not know who is infectious. And this causes us to treat everyone as though they are infectious by social distancing, wearing protection, and cyclical lockdowns resulting in the shutting down of large parts of our economy. Solving the information problem requires data. If we can tell who is likely to be infectious, we can isolate them and protect others. This is where rapid antigen testing comes into play. Antigen tests are an effective tool to help employers prevent the spread of COVID-19 in the workplace. The tests are simple to use and quick to return results. Data shows that people in workplaces are at the greatest risk of being infected with COVID-19. Further, people can be infectious 2 to 3 days before symptom onset. By putting rapid antigen tests in the hands of business owners and individuals to screen employees for those who are infectious and therefore capable of spreading the virus, it provides an extra layer of protection for your employees and your workplace against exposure to COVID-19. Employees will feel safer, and you will reduce the risk of being forced to shut down due to an outbreak. Rogers has been running a rapid antigen testing program in our workplace since January and is also helping other businesses and charities set up similar programs on their own. I am a participant in this program because I believe in the tests and the results that they yield. I've seen firsthand how they can help keep us safer through early detection of positive cases and by better understanding when someone can spread the virus. Did you know that each case detected through this program averts on average an additional 2.6 infections? Over a period of 20 days, secondary infections from 115 cases caught with this program saved 5,255 other people from getting the virus. What an impact. And the more we roll out this program, the more people we can protect and the more business can stay open. Through the Muskoka Lakes Chamber of Commerce, you can now get your test kits for free and their assistance in setting up your own testing program. I encourage you to participate as it is critical for all workplaces to run these types of programs to help us safely reopen the economy and to make sure we stay open.
Thanks, Melinda, from that. And if you're out there listening, yes, every single chamber here in Muskoka is involved. So you can get your test through rapidtestmuskoka.com. It is rapid test first. If you try Muskoka Rapid Test, you won't find us. So rapidtestmuskoka.com, choose your closest chamber. You don't have to be a chamber member. We want to get this out into the community and out there and stopping the spread. So first some questions, but first I want to talk about a main objection that we've run into a few times. Sometimes I've heard people say, well, my employees just aren't interested in this. So they just shrug it off. The other one is I've had at least one vaccination, so I don't need this. So, you know, here's the harsh truth. We talked about it before. 1 of every 3 Canadians that has COVID is walking around and showing no symptoms. So if you decide not to rapid test, that's okay, that's your choice, but consider the alternative. The alternative is you get a workplace outbreak and the health unit can come lock your doors and shut you down. So it's just something to think about, a little more food for thought. If you're worried about someone screening positive, look at it differently. That's a positive thing. You know what Melinda said about how the test can help see if someone's becoming symptomatic within 3 days. So you and I test on Monday and we test negative. And then you and I test again on Thursday and I test positive. You can feel very comfortable that I have not been shedding virus all over you from Thursday back to Monday because you caught it fast enough. In fact, I know some companies, larger companies, are actually letting the employees test themselves before they even go into the workplace, which I think is brilliant. But under our guidelines, we need to have it overseen. So it needs to happen in the workplace. And I can see some of you saying, well, my workplace is everywhere. Like our contractors are off-site in several sites. Again, just have one supervisor, do the train the trainer, have them watch the video, and then they can, on those different sites, that one trainer can supervise everyone doing their own testing, because you self-administer the test and then they go about their work. So there's nothing to hold anybody back from doing this. Now, questions. Oh, I also want to say what Neil said, that I guarantee you're going to feel so much better. It feels so great knowing that everyone you're working with is negative. It was something that I hadn't anticipated as a major health benefit. Brenda mentioned it before, that it has increased staff morale, and certainly it's helped in our office as well. So the first question we already talked about was, I can't get employees to do this. Brenda, do you want to chat about that?
I know my time is up. So my test is done. As you can see, it's cleared up and we are still under the sea. So we're all good. Okay.
Yay.
Quick and easy. So my next step would just be to make sure that I dispose of the products that need to be disposed of in our hazardous waste bag that's given to you by one of our chambers. And then once you've filled that bag, you bring it back to each of us and we can dispose of it properly through a company to make sure that's taken away and taken care of properly. So test is done. Easy peasy.
You're better than I am. I just wait for that first red line and then I figure I'm good. Now I know it goes all white. Pro tip though, don't leave it out for 30 minutes because then it might change on you. So don't go past that 20 minutes, all right? What other kind of questions do we have? We work outside of Muskoka. We have few cases here. So I think it's a waste of time. Why should I do it? Who wants to answer that one? Neil, would you have, how would you answer that?
Again, you work outside, but you are, how many people are truly outside all day? You travel in vehicles together, you go for coffee together. I think the fact that you work outside does not mean that you don't have contact with other people, and doesn't mean you don't have contact with your family too. So again, to me, it's just reassurance. It's you know, along with masking and distancing, it's just another, and vaccination, it's just another step that you can take.
All right, thanks. And the other thing is Simcoe Muskoka has been considered is now considered a hot spot for the Delta variant. Now we think that's more to the south of us, but it's yet another reason why you might want to consider getting involved. I've been vaccinated, so I'm afraid my screening test will show up as positive. We have had doctors, I don't know whether Sandy, if there's any information in that Ministry of Health document, we just got an updated one today, but the general consensus is that's not going to happen. In fact, people have been vaccinated the same day and then tested the same day and they've still tested negative. So there's nothing to suggest that would happen. And please pop if you've got a question, pop it into the chat. Sandy's got her hand up.
People always ask me, how deep is it? How is that super? This is not the intensive test that, as someone has described to me, where you tickle your brain. This is actually just, you know, 1 to 3 centimeters, no, 1 to 2 centimeters in your nose. It's, what did one person called it, a shallow dive, not a deep dive.
Right, it's not, if you've had the COVID test, which you feel like, you know, it's going up into your brain, that's not happening. And, you know, this may seem like a silly question, but there's a lot of misinformation out there, and you can understand why some people might have different ideas about what this does. I did have someone actually say they were concerned that the government was implanting something up their nose. They asked if they could use their own Q-tip, and I explained, well, is that hermetically sealed? Are you, you know, do you put your hand in the whole Q-tip thing? Is it, you know, like that you use the whole kit together. You don't want to get a false positive, so you want to do the test correctly. So, but we shouldn't mock people who, because there's so much out there, you know, Dr. Facebook, for example. So just, you know, please just show them the information, and it doesn't hurt. And no, we're not tracking any data, which also brings me to another question that we've run into, which is the chambers, you're going to know all of our business. Well, I want to remind you right now, if you have the test, please, you have to report, because if you don't report, we can't give you more tests. But when you do report, you'll see, we don't see the names of any of your employees. We don't know who they are. We see at the end of the day, we see numbers that we have to put to the province, to Health Canada and the province of Ontario, because they want to know these tests are being used. So we know the numbers of negative, positive, inconclusive. That's all we see. Your results are completely anonymous. So please be reassured that we are not seeing anything, and nobody's collecting data on any specific individual in any way, shape, or form. Now, what other questions have we got? Oh, this is one that's now coming up. And I know Sandy's had it. I had somebody bring back boxes. I'm now double vaccinated. I'm double vaxxed. I don't need this anymore. And this was a real question. In our last webinar, one of the doctors said, well, maybe you don't need it. But that was also before the Delta variant. And the message that we got today, and Sandy, you got that as well from the Ministry of Health, the Ontario Chamber of Commerce, we reached out, and generally you still want to be testing afterward.
Yeah,
we know.
They did say that they're always reviewing and changing, and the rules around this may change, but at this point, continue testing people who have been double vaccinated. And we will notify anybody when it changes.
Yeah, none of us are medical doctors here, and I don't think anybody out there really, you know, completely can say which way or the other, but it doesn't hurt. It doesn't take any time. It's free to use, so why not just keep going? And then another question I get as a result is, well, why are you pushing this so hard? Are you getting anything out of this? Well, I can tell you that the chambers here with us, we actually pay for the hazardous material. That's something you get. We give you a hazmat bag. It sounds so scary. I can tell you that I keep the hazardous waste bin right beside my desk at work. So if it was really that bad, I probably wouldn't still be able to talk to you tonight. So we just give you a bag, and not all the garbage, just the test tube. It's actually the fluid that they use that they're concerned, but you'd have to have a ton of that fluid in a landfill to really cause any environmental harm. Although, Neil, if you want to jump in and correct me, I'd be happy to be corrected. But it's really not all that hazardous. But right now we ask you to fill up the bag, bring it back to us. We'll put it in the bin, and we are paying for it on your behalf to have it disposed of correctly. We don't want to ever see these on the roadside or anything. So that's another question.
Nora, there's a question in the chat.
Oh, what is the question? Let me
Yeah,
see.
it just, has the test program detected any positives yet?
In Muskoka of our groups, I don't think we've had any positives detected.
No, but I think we can talk about Greg's. I don't believe we have in Muskoka. I think you're right. But we can talk about Greg from Cambridge, who, you know, did say that they had caught, I think it was 33 the last time we were chatting with him. And he was sort of the pioneer of getting this off the ground. And he did indicate that of all the people who tested positive on the antigen test, that they subsequently did indeed test positive through the, I always say it wrong, PCR test. Yeah. And, you know, so we're all asymptomatic. So a really, really huge sort of win for them that they were able to catch those. It's good.
Neil's got his hand up, so I think he wants to add something to this.
Yeah, I just think that that's really important, Kelly, that you pointed out that the subsequent tests also test positive, which gives us confidence in the testing that we're getting from the rapid test. And we all know that Cambridge-Kitchener is a hotspot.
Yeah. Exactly.
I really wish in hindsight that 15 months ago, we'd put a lot of effort into rapid testing, because the government has been reacting, trying to guess where the outbreaks are going to happen and what's causing them. Are they coming from weddings? Are they coming from sporting events? Are they coming from workplaces? If we could answer those questions, we could target vaccinations and health programs a lot more safely.
Yeah.
So I think maybe this might be a lesson to learn for, hopefully we don't have one, but for the next pandemic, is how important it is to diagnose people quickly.
Right.
The reality is, you know, the federal government has had these tests since last September. They sat in a warehouse for a long time. They weren't sure what to do with them. And I just want to point out the Cambridge, Kitchener, Waterloo, that's a very large, hundreds of thousands of tests, and then 33 positives. But imagine how those 33 stopped, how many cases that stopped. Sandy.
Also, Greg from KW said they had no false positives through our test system either.
Right.
That was really important.
Yeah, that's really important. And if you Google, if you go to Dr. Facebook, you'll see different things on this, but I actually forget the percentage, but it's quite accurate. The accuracy rate on this is extremely high. Unless you leave it out, or if you've done it wrong, you drop the swab on the floor, you pick it up, you could get a different kind of result. So just be careful when you're doing that. What other questions? We got any other questions in the chat?
No, we're good there.
Oh, yes. If you've had COVID-19 and you recovered. So if you've had COVID-19 and you've recovered, would you end up with the positive? That was the same thing as if you've been vaccinated. The answer is simply no, it's not. That's not proven to be the case. So we know people that have had COVID and are rapid testing, and they are not getting positive. So I wonder about the other kinds of concerns. Your data, that was another thing about data gathering. And, you know, we talked about how we're not gathering names or anything, but I really shouldn't say this, but I don't really trust the government to be able to be smart enough to be able to gather data through a swab up the nose that doesn't say your name or anything like that. There's just nothing to suggest that they would have their act together enough if they couldn't get these tests out for 9 months. I don't think they could have the wherewithal to be implanting chips into our brains or anything like that. So it may, again, it sounds silly, but these kinds of questions have come up. Now, let's see, has the test, the positives, okay, so I think we've captured all the questions that we've got. Unless anybody's got some last burning ones, we could move on. I'd like our chamber EDs, I don't know whether you've got some last thoughts. Why don't we start with you, Kelly? Anything else have come up for you in your particular workplace, or any questions that have hit you that you want to chat on?
Thanks, Nora. I mean, I think just, I think I mentioned this on the last call too, but just, I have heard over and over that, you know, the morale in business has gone up when people are testing. And I think that's awesome. I think if you are certainly testing, to share that with your colleagues, you know, to your point earlier, Nora, I'm also getting questions about why we're so keen on this. And at the end of the day, we just really want to see our business community and our community as a whole be open. And I think it's, you know, just such a great opportunity. We have so many tests, so we'd really like to get them out. I think, you know, we talked too, that if it's easier for your employees to test before they come to work, it's kind of a gray area. That's something we can talk to you about as well. But we really want to make it work as easy as possible for the businesses, so that, you know, the employees feel safe going home. So, but thank you for moderating tonight too, Nora.
Sandy, some thoughts?
I've just had a couple businesses who started doing the testing to try and convince their staff to get vaccinated. And it's basically like, well, until you're vaccinated, you have to do this. I know that's not the case yet, but we do know when the government makes a decision, they will reach a point where they're going to say, you don't need to test your staff anymore, or the people who are going to be tested are the ones who aren't vaccinated. So they are using it as a way to convince people, like, if you haven't been vaccinated, we really have to test you. We're really worried. Second thing is, again, one vaccine doesn't count with the COVID Delta variant. So people have a false sense of security that they're okay. And that Delta variant, you know, seems to travel when you only have one vaccine. And number three, let's not forget that our friends at United Way gave us all some free masks to give away to people who are looking for those too. Yes.
These have been a big hit. I have given them out to restaurants to say they've had patrons show up without masks, and they just love them. And the summer camps have been eating them up. So thank you very much to Simcoe Muskoka United Way for those. Final thoughts, Brenda, our demonstrator?
I just think I'll echo Kelly's comments is, you know, not only does it give you the confidence when you're going home, but I know we had some employees that were scared about the influx of visitors that we always get, and we love the visitors coming. We always wanted them to keep coming, but it gives them the confidence when they're interacting with those visitors from outside our community. And so, you know, makes them feel better, makes them do a better job because they do feel confident that they're being tested and that it will be caught. Like you said, before they become contagious, if you're doing it on a regular basis, the 2 times per week, which is recommended, you'll hopefully catch that before it goes anywhere in your business, or they take it home, or we pass it on to any of our visitors.
Dr. Hutchinson, have you heard anything that surprised you tonight or made you think differently?
No, it's all good. And I think my only final comment was, in a year that's had so much bad news, it's nice to see, that we are turning the corner on COVID, the vaccinations are getting out there, but also nice to know that the Chamber of Commerce is looking out for its members. I really appreciate that.
Well, thank you very much. So remember, report, go back to rapidtestmuskoka.com, or if you're coming in from Orillia, rapidtestaurelia.com. Go to the report tab. It's just a simple form. Do it every time you're testing, and it'll just take a minute to do. So report. Get vaccinated. Now, I just managed to move mine from August 24th to July 16th for my second vaccination. So just keep going on to that COVID Ontario and go through the system, and you might be able to move up your second vaccination. All right. So remember, rapid testing is another layer of protection, but it doesn't replace vaccination, and it doesn't replace the PCR, the COVID PCR test. If you are having symptoms, then go get that COVID test. And let's see, for those who joined us today, if you have other questions, we do have frequently asked questions, again, on rapidtestmuskoka.com. So please go there or call any of us at the Chamber. And I leave you with my final thoughts. Test twice a week. I know it sounds silly, but I say become a serial tester, not a serial killer. And please get vaccinated as soon as you can. Let's get all of us open again faster. Thank you to our panelists, to our attendees. Be well, be kind, stay safe, and have a great rest of your evening. Thank you.